Welcome to Leaving CrazyTown with Finn and Sarah. Today, Sarah's going to share with us her dark thoughts. Take it away, Sarah.
I love you, Finn. Okay, everybody, welcome to Leaving CrazyTown. We're going to talk about, I was going to say intense topics, but it doesn't have to be intense. It's just the way we are as humans. So what I was going to share today is an experience I had that I think will be really helpful to people, because I think people do have dark thoughts. You've talked about your Tower of Terror. So we're going to really, this story is important because I think we're going to give you a couple of tools at the end. It's going to be a way to help you get out of when you don't know what's going on, because that's what happened to me. I didn't know what was going on, and it really caught me off guard. And sorry, I have a...
Wait, I feel like we should record that. Sarah, you didn't know what was going on. Okay, we have it on record. That is April 17th. Sarah did not know what was going on. She's admitted it.
Yes, I have admitted it, and it happens a lot more than people think, okay? All right, so this is a scoop, so we can be clear. What happened was, a lot of you know that I sold my house November 1st and moved into another little place, which I love. But what was starting to happen over the last couple of months was I was waking up in the morning and I was having some pretty scary thoughts. So I was having thoughts about like not being on the planet, and thoughts of what's wrong with me? Why do I feel this bad? And I have had depression before. So in my head, I'm like, maybe I'm getting depressed again. Because I mean, there's all kinds of reasons for depression. We're not going to go into that this episode. But just wondering about that. Jesus, something happened where I should,
So you're having that you're waking up with feelings and you're trying to figure it out with your head.
And in fact, yeah, like I don't even know if I was aware of a feeling. I just knew I thought something was wrong with me, because I was having these really scary thoughts that I can say never have had. Okay. So anyways, what happened to me is I kind of hit a bottom on Saturday where I just was so tired of it, Finn. And I prayed my socks off with a lot of F-bombs. Like, I need some answers, okay? I woke up Sunday morning and a thought came to me that an old professor of mine, a brilliant guy, Dr. B, we call him Dr. B, was an analyst. And he used to say to me, I was in therapy with him in graduate school. And if I would go in and say, I'm not feeling well, he'd say, when did it start? And for a lot of people, addicts, codependents, when I've said that to people, they want to go, oh, I'm just depressed, or I'm just anxious, or I just relapsed.
I've always felt this way, or it's just sudden.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people say I've felt this way since I'm 3, just because they want a biological answer, which again, biological stuff, if you're on a med or whatever, great, if it helps. But there's always more to it to me. So I had the thought, when did it begin? And this is what thought came to me. It began when I moved. Now, you guys are all probably like, shocking, Sarah. Gee, maybe you were having some grief. This is the scary thing, though, is I was not aware of it then. I mean, because it was such a huge, wonderful thing that I sold my house and I got this great place, and so many great things were happening. And we talk a lot about the both and, that like all these great things were happening. So I just wasn't aware of the facts of the following.
And
go ahead.
Sorry. And I remember when you first were packing to move and you had a lot of tasks, but you were having intermittent moments of grief then.
I was.
Maybe like at some point, the joy of everything and the excitement and all the tasks just started to override that. I
think you're absolutely right. I had so many things to do to sell the house. Then I moved into a place with no furniture. So I spent 2 months like filling the house up, not too much, but yes, you're right. And so it was tricky because what the realization was, and what I want to say too, is I ended up texting my brother who's a therapist, and we've talked about him before. And I ended up calling him and sobbing and feeling like I was finally releasing this emotion that I hadn't been aware of and hadn't felt. But what I did know for other people to check into these signs is I was feeling numb. I was feeling detached from myself. I was feeling depressed. I had these thoughts like, what's wrong with me? For people to like identify with this, and if this is happening to you, to think to yourself, when did it start? It's really important. For me, I was letting go of a house I brought my son up in, where I was married to my husband, George, who relapsed and passed away. I was leaving a practice of a lot of clients that I'd seen for years, and I loved these people. I love them now. And my son was now, off to college and had a girlfriend. So there was a lot of things that I was grieving, but I totally wasn't aware of it, Finn. And that's what slammed me. And that if I can just allow myself to feel the emotion, I swear I felt like a new person after I talked to my brother, which was amazing.
So
what do you think?
Well, what I was going to say is, not to be doom and gloom, because once you feel the feelings, it's pretty good, right? So, you could go through all this. It could last forever. You could prolong it. You might not notice, you might push it away, whatever. But my experience with grief, even moving or any kind of grief, is it isn't over. So if you think to yourself, like Sarah said, when was the first time you started feeling bad? You might say, oh, when I moved, but I dealt with that. Because that's my old MO, right? Oh, I had the feelings then. What I found out about grief, and the more I get in touch with it, is it comes. Like there may be something that happens with Sarah's son, or something pops up in a week from now, and you may have experienced more grief around that whole change in life that needs to be relieved as well. So if you're thinking back, what was the incident? Sarah could have easily thought, well, I cried when we moved my son's bunk bed, or so it's not that. I would just trust it, right? Trust it.
Yes.
There's probably more, because grief isn't like normally isn't just a one and done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great point. That I'm glad I kind of got in touch with this, because this was kind of really deep, because I have had the feeling for a couple of months, like wanting to cry, but just haven't been able to. So you're right. It's like the spiral we talk about in the book about grief, that there's more layers. I'm sure there will be more. I'm sure I'll get to that, but at least there's a beginning. And importance with addiction and crazy recovery, Finn, that we talk a lot about, is just allowing yourself to have the feelings without taking it to your head and needing to figure it out, because really I needed to just stop and notice what I was experiencing.
And I automatically go to, why do I feel off? Something's wrong. And I talked to a guy yesterday at a meeting who had the same feeling. He's like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong, because he's new in recovery and he was feeling good, and now he's not having a great day. Like feelings aren't wrong.
Right.
Like they're just normal, and I go to, what am I doing wrong? How am I going to fix it? And meanwhile, like you said, you're just getting further away from the feeling and more into your head.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to start wrapping it up.
We're going to wrap it up.
More on grief. That we could do endless videos on grief.
We are going to do more on grief, but look, a couple of tools is, if you're feeling funky today, say to yourself, when did I start feeling this way? What was happening? And just do some writing and see if anything comes up. It could be grief. It could be a resentment. A lot of times something happens and we don't have the awareness. So just notice that.
And don't push it away if you think it's something you dealt with. Don't let your head interfere. Just trust what comes to you.
Absolutely. We're leaving CrazyTown. Fasten your seatbelt. Love you.
We're out of here.